Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 6 articles for you in this episode this morning. All the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. The first one here is off of rickwells.us, and it says, amazing, union leaders pledge to work with GOP President Trump. It's not the kind of thing we're accustomed to seeing or that any of us has likely seen before. A Republican president inviting union leaders into the White House for a meeting about his plans for putting America back to work is unique. What happened afterwards, it's safe to say, is even more unheard of, to the point that it's probably never happened before. Those union leaders came out following the meeting as a group to a microphone that was set up for them to make a statement if they chose to do so. What happened next was surprising and not what anyone expected beyond perhaps President Trump. One of the union leaders invited in spoke on behalf of the group, saying, the president laid out his plans about how he's going to handle trade, invest in our infrastructure, and how he's going to level the playing field for construction workers and all Americans across this country, and then took the time to take everyone into the Oval Office and show them the seat of power in the world. He continued, the respect that the President of the United States just showed us, and when he shows it to us, he shows it to 3 million of our members in the United States, was nothing short of incredible. And we will work with him and his administration to help him implement his plans on infrastructure, trade, and energy policy so that we really do put America back to work in the middle class jobs that make or that our members and all Americans are demanding. Thank you very much. Caputo takes what just happened, saying, all right, that's fairly remarkable. If you have a union leader there singing the praises of a Republican president and giving the impression here that it's something that he had not seen or that the group had not seen in quite some time. It is becoming readily apparent that despite all of his other abilities, President Trump's ability to lead and create consensus, unanimity of purpose, or unanimity, maybe that is, of purpose, may be his greatest asset. This is incredible to watch. And there is some video in this if you would like to take a look at it. It says, okay, that, yeah, it's talking about how this is off of Rick Wells, and he's got this posted on his Facebook page. So there you have that article. I thought that was pretty interesting. The next one we have here is off of RT.com, and it says, in final presidential hours, Obama quietly gave Palestinian Authority $221 million in aid. Just before leaving office, President Barack Obama reportedly authorized the discreet transfer of more than $227 million to foreign accounts, circumventing Republicans who were blocking the funds. Over 97% went to the Palestinian Authority. According to a State Department official and several congressional aides, the Associated Press reported some $221 million went to the Palestinian Authority, the interim self-governing Palestinian body established in 1994. The rest of the funds were allocated to agencies around the world, with $4 million going to climate change programs for cutting emissions and creating a climate technology center, $1.25 million going to the UN Peace Building Fund and other UN programs, and $100.5 million going to the State Department Special Representative for Afghanistan and Pakistan Office and the Bureau of South and Central Asian Affairs. The fund for the Palestinian Authority were originally approved by Congress in the fiscal years 2015 to 2016 and were aimed at supporting humanitarian aid efforts in the West Bank and Gaza, but GOP lawmakers put a hold on the funds. Representative Ed Royce, Republican of California, the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, took issue with the funding of the PA, which he claimed funds terrorism. In a July 2016 statement by Royce, he said the PA uses United States aid money as a martyrs fund to pay the families of Palestinian prisoners and suicide bombers. It's hard to see how this pay to slay policy wouldn't put them on the state sponsor of terrorism list, Royce said. In the past, presidents have respected holds placed on funds by Congress. However, they always had the power to overturn any holds after the funds were allocated. Who was a strong supporter of the Palestinian Authority, had pressed Congress for years to release the funds. In 2012, Congress froze a $192 million aid package for the Palestinian Authority after President Mohammed Abbas sought the UN statehood in 2011, stating that the aid was important to the security interests of the United States, the Times of Israel reported. Who has vowed to be pro-Israeli president, has been critical of the UN's decision to recognize the Palestinian Authority. Trump has a tweet here that says the resolution being considered at the United Nations Security Council regarding Israel should be vetoed, as the United States has long maintained peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians will only come through direct negotiations between the parties and not through the imposition of terms by the United Nations. This puts Israel in a very poor negotiating position and is extremely unfair to all Israelis. As to the UN, things will be different after January the 20th. And these tweets were about a month ago. It says Trump's plan to move the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem caused outrage from the Palestinian leader Mohammed Abbas, who wrote an official letter to Trump saying the move would have a disastrous impact on the peace process, on the two-state solution, and on the stability and security of the entire region. Trump's pick for ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, called the Israeli-Palestinian two-state solution an illusion that serves the worst intentions of both the United States and the Palestinian Arabs, in 2016 column for the Israeli News. And there's some more video there. So there you have that one. The next one we have here is off of thehill.com, and it says, collapses during State of the State address, and there is video of it. It says Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton collapsed while delivering his State of the State address on Monday night. The Twin Cities Pioneer Press reported that Dayton fainted about 45 minutes into his speech. Before that, Dayton had appeared to falter while walking up to the podium and had paused at several points throughout the address. The joint session of the state legislature, to which Dayton, age 69, was speaking, adjourned while the governor was treated. Moments later, Dayton got up on his own, waved to the audience, and left the room, according to a reporter for the Pioneer Press. Dayton's son later tweeted on Twitter that his father was doing great and thanked people for their concern, according to local station KARE 11. Senator Scott Jensen, who is a medic, told Minnesota Public Radio that Dayton's condition is stable. Dan Schoen, also a medic, said Dayton was acting normally and making jokes minutes after he fainted. Dayton was revived and left the chamber on his own. KARE 11 added. Dayton collapsed during a speaking event last year after he began to feel increased pressure in his lower back, according to a statement released by his office at the time. You have that. I'm thinking lower back pain and he's passing out. Sounds to me like a stone, but I could be wrong. The next one here is off of the Washington Examiner, and it says, Bret Baier planned for Clinton win, Trump chances fiction. When it comes to clear analysis, there are few in the TV business better than Fox News' Bret Baier, but right before the election, he was stuck. He had finished writing his book about President Eisenhower and the transition to John F. Kennedy and wanted a final chapter to tie in former President Obama's parallel effort. The problem, his deadline for the 3 days in January, was before the fall election. So he wrote two endings. And like practically everybody in the country, he bet on Democrat Hillary Clinton to win. So I wrote two endings, he said. I wrote an ending that Hillary Clinton won. This is the one I spent most time on, and the lessons that Hillary Clinton could learn from Eisenhower. And I really crafted it and tried to make it perfect. And he said, I spent time, but not as much time on Donald Trump wins. In it, he wrote of the similarities between the relatively inexperienced Kennedy and first-time office winner Trump. And there's some video in this if you want to take a look at it. It says one reason for his skepticism was that he wrote it right after the leak of the tape of Trump and the TV gossip reporter Billy Bush talking lewdly about women. I'm thinking this is going to be really good fiction at the moment, he told a National Archives lunchtime crowd last week. But almost exactly 1 month later, he said, as I announced on election night at 2:30 in the morning that Pennsylvania has gone for Donald Trump, and he will be the 45th president of the United States, I'm thinking, you know, that chapter really works. The next article that I have for you is off of American Patriot Daily News Network. Trey Gowdey just made a huge announcement that has the left terrified. The intelligence community is at war with Donald Trump. They are leaking left and right to friendly reporters in order to undermine his presidency. But Trey Gowdey's latest announcement could put a stop to their campaign to destroy Trump once. In the new Congress, Trey Gowdey will on the Intelligence Committee. His new role will give him the opportunity to provide oversight to the intelligence community. The Greenville Online reports Representative Trey Gowdey, Republican Spartanburg, was named to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence Friday. South Carolina member of Congress to be on the panel. Protecting the safety and security of our fellow citizens is a preeminent function of government. When it comes to our national security, we cannot afford to take risks, Gowdey said in a prepared statement. The House Intelligence Committee plays a vital role in protecting Americans both at home and abroad through conducting a thorough oversight of our nation's intelligence agencies. To the panel by House Republican leaders, he will continue to serve on three other committees: Ethics, Oversight, and Government Reform and Judiciary. Gowdey was formerly chair of the Select Committee on Benghazi, which disbanded at the end of 2016 after issuing its final report on the 2012 terrorist attacks in Libya. Like the Benghazi panel, much of the work of the Intelligence Committee is done behind closed doors, dealing with classified information and the intelligence gathering operations of 17 different government agencies. The Intelligence Committee was one of several to conduct investigations into Benghazi and the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. Created in 1977, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence has never had a member from South Carolina, according to the Congressional Research Services. Gowdey was chairman of the Benghazi Select Committee. In that role, he uncovered Hillary Clinton's secret email server and documented the Obama administration's lies about their incompetent responses to the terrorist attack. His dogged ability to dig for the truth is more vital than ever. Community is engaged in a war of leaks to undermine Donald Trump. Their leaks have been timed at key moments, such as their attempt to try and swing the Electoral College, as well as creating a swirl of controversy ahead of Trump's inauguration. A no-nonsense prosecutor like Trey Gowdey could hold Intelligence Committee officials accountable for or accountable over their campaign to delegitimize Donald Trump. Gowdey has proven that the politics does not drive his investigations. His moral compass always points of the truth. And the final article that I have in this episode is off of BizPack Review, and it says, Cotton puts Schumer in his place after blowup. 8 years ago, I was getting my ass shot at in Afghanistan. Wow. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer may have learned the hard way that it's not wise to patronize a former U.S. combat veteran who was unhappy with him for reportedly going back on his word. The Weekly Standard's Stephen Hayes appeared on Fox News Monday to say Schumer told Republican leaders he would allow Representative Mike Pompeo, I still want to call that Pompeo, but I guess everybody else is pronouncing it Pompeo, Republican of Kansas, to be confirmed as CIA director by voice vote on Inauguration Day, but then broke his promise. A deal was reportedly struck where Republicans agreed to delay Pompeo's confirmation hearing for a day in exchange for Schumer's agreeing to include Pompeo in the group of national security officials who were confirmed by a voice vote on Friday. Democrats asked that the hearing be moved so that 6 hearings did not occur on one day, a senior Democratic Senate aide said, according to Hayes. Hayes said a pretty tough exchange ensued Friday between Schumer and Senator Tom Cotton, Republican of Arkansas, who served in the U.S. Army as an infantry officer and put in combat tours in both Iraq and Afghanistan. Not common for the kind of exchanges you see in this unusual, or try this again, not common for the kind of exchanges you see in this usually genteel body, Hayes said. He described the details of the exchange in his Weekly Standards column, and it says, the Senate convened ceremonies on Friday with Pompeo's nomination set to come up at 4:50 p.m. Cotton angrily confronted Schumer about his broken promise. According to witnesses, Schumer told Cotton to lower his voice and ask him to move off of the Senate floor to an adjacent hallway for a private discussion. We need to take this out into the hallway, Schumer said. Cotton walked with Schumer but loudly rejected his first request. Don't tell me to lower my voice, he shouted, with an additional salty admonition tacked on for emphasis. Burr and Corwin were present, as was Senator Mark Warner, ranking member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and several aides. Schumer told Cotton that the Senate had never previously confirmed a CIA director on Inauguration Day, and if Cotton had been around 8 years earlier, he'd know that Republicans didn't extend that courtesy for incoming President Barack Obama. 8 years ago, I was getting my ass shot at in Afghanistan, Cotton snapped, so don't talk to me about where I was 8 years ago. The Weasel Schumer reportedly explained away the broken deal by saying, I said that I would not block him. I never said that I could speak for 47 other Democrats. And there's some video in that if you want to take a look at it. So that's all I have in this episode, but there will be more. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. Don't forget to subscribe. If you click that little bell beside the subscription box and check the little box that pops up, you'll get email alerts every time I put a show up, and that way you'll stay informed.